The idea for the combined office, I would say, had maybe organically been growing over the last 5 years.
Working with people in different places, since I started this job here, we had people up at the Rough Rider Center, people at Watford City Hall, here at the Visitor Center, and then I'm up at the courthouse. And obviously we can have meetings, schedule phone calls, different things like that. But the idea to have all these like-minded, similar type jobs in one location really came about in 2022, and we kind of pursued it, and now it's reality.
I guess what originally brought it up was, the city and the county work so closely together to accomplish essentially the same goals. It was almost kind of a roadblock to have everybody in different buildings.
So I would say probably a year ago, so maybe August, September of 2022, Daniel Stenberg and myself were kind of visiting about short lists of locations to do a combined office. And we kind of traded napkins across the table, and we both had this space on that list, knowing that the museum was going to relocate to the Heritage Park. And from there, it just kind of started to move.
Yeah, we had to communicate, what are we looking for in this space. We need to have some collaborative conference room space that we can use, but then we also need the offices.
The project was big enough, it needed to be RFP'd. The project was small emaugh that in this incredibly competitive environment for finding services, we knew it would be a difficult project to get a look. We sent out emails requesting proposals, and we had several question it, show interest. We only had one submit a formal proposal, and it was Steve Doobie, and so he's the construction side of it, and his wife Twyla Mitchell owns an interior design company, and so together they teamed up with the proposal.
But it was a unique project because really we built it on a little sheet of paper, just some different, some ideas of what they wanted, but it was a design build project. That's what we ended up doing for them.
I think even Steve, when he walked through and we had the museum exhibits up here, it was kind of like, what do you guys want to do?
Well, so for sure there was a lot of motion around this building, and Jan especially has been here since it was built. So she had some wonderful ideas as far as the glass between the conference room and the rest of the space to allow the light through. She was very concerned about the heat. She was very concerned about the HVA system, which everything she knew was correct. So we were able to address some of those issues throughout the project. But yeah, as it went on, it was everybody got more comfortable with us. It got easier.
And so we just had those initial discussions. What I slid over to Steve on a roughed up flat without an architect supporting it was we needed what we needed. We needed 5 offices, we needed a conference space, we needed a place where when people came to look at investing in our community and looking at business creation, expansion, development, that they felt comfortable in this space. And so that's what we brought to Steve and Twyla. And after that, we really just stayed out of their way. And they did a beautiful job.
We were excited to have our little bit of a stamp on Watford City, and knowing Glenn Beard and having the relationship with him it's fun to follow behind him on his job. So we were excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, had we not had something so beautiful to work with already, that would have been even more expensive, but we were working aesthetically. There was a look to keep, and I think the design worked really well. So there was cost factors in using, the existing structure. We weren't coming in and completely gutting it. It was moving the museum out, and that was the gut.
Yeah. And everybody knows Glenn, so they all wanted me to give him a hard time about his building. I'm not really the joshing type like that, and besides, I couldn't find anything that I could josh him about that would even be remotely honest. So I just have to compliment him on his building. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. It was really, really nice to work in here. It was nice to work in here. It was it was really nice.
I see Twyla and Steve's signature on it. They're construction in their trade, but really they're artists in their placement. And so you know, there's little extra touches here and there that exceeded my expectation, but also just really come down to the absolute true foundation and nature of who we are as a culture. So I'm just really thrilled by it.
I knew exactly what I wanted with that table for months. Ever since the beginning, I could see it. And then Twyla, sometime in the middle of the project's like, well, this table's got to be the shape of North Dakota.
Yeah, I did have that vision. I knew it needed to be dynamic. I mean, just really a showstopper. I wanted it to be a showstopper. Like, this needs to be something great. I really felt like if people are going to come from around the world and sit in here, they need to know what we're proud of.
So she looked on BizMan, found a guy. He referred us to the guy we did. We met him at the sawmill in Mandan. We picked out the log. He shot us a price. We gave him a deposit. He came and looked, and that was it.
A
And
young
built the
guy who
tables.
loves wood,
Yep.
and his dad loved wood.
My name is Levi. I'm the owner of Wetzel Woodworks. I had the grand privilege of working on this table for Watford City. When Steve and Twyla contacted me and we were talking back and forth, and they just shared the vision that they had for this build and what they were trying to do, I was just excited. You know, I love bringing somebody's dream to life. I love working on that. And especially something as special as this for the visitor center in Watford City, a huge table in the shape of North Dakota. I mean, I was all over that. So what a great privilege that was for me to work on this project.
In North Dakota, through our oil and gas taxes, there is a fund. It's called the Outdoor Heritage Fund. And they grant to projects that create outdoor experiences for North Dakotans and visitors to North Dakota. Third phase of that grant, we're under construction right now. So it brought trail or gateway signage to the trailhead. And so on one side, it's the Long X brand. On the other side, it's the WC brand. There's a whole history of Long X branding in our area, starting with the Long X ranch that the Long X Bridge is named after. So historic ranch that drove cattle up from Texas, the Reynolds family. And so that is a historic brand here, which we've grown the visitor center off of.
I think Vanita, I don't remember if she called me or we said it in passing or what, how it went down. But she just asked, hey, would you be interested, would Jones be interested in helping us with a sign, you know? And I said, well, we don't build a lot of signs, you know, but yeah, absolutely.
I think these really fit into their area. They're very, if you pay attention to them, they're almost a very mechanical. They're a pipe Long X, you know, and they have 4-bolt fittings to mount them to their square structures, which really ties in the X that looks a lot like a brand, so that's agriculture. The pipe fittings really tie in the energy industry. So it kind of takes the best of both worlds into a really elegant and simple design. I think it did a great job representing kind of who we are over here.
There's plenty of capable contractors or crafty people around. I mean, you could have gone to 100 other people and got the same results, you know. I mean, they would have given you a good quality product, but you came to us and those guys put their heart and soul into it. I mean, the painters, I mean, I remember Jesus Tiarena, I called him and said,
Oh, goodness, yeah.
did you really have that many hours on this? He's like, yeah, man, it had to be perfect. I said, you're right, it did have to be perfect, so thank you. But yeah, it's perfect. I mean, there's not, we
had a lot of guys involved in this from different crafts in our business, you know, and from the hydrovac group to the civil group to the paint group to, you know, mechanical group, on and on and on, right? And I can tell you that every one of them, when we asked them, they just jumped on it. Like, heck yeah, I want to be part of that.
Everybody wanted to touch it.
There's a marketing TOMA, top of mind awareness, you know, so that's where branding is so important, whether you're talking about laundry detergent or you're talking about Chevy vehicles, right? You need a brand, and that kind of the Long X that ties in with the Long X Visitor Center, the Long X Trail, you know, the different things in our area that use that same moniker. It's really nice to be able to use that and really start pushing that out. If we can get that as a kind of a symbol, you know, an additional symbol to help represent the Western North Dakota, I don't think there's any negative to it. And it looks cool sitting outside when you come into town.
Well, I almost find myself kind of apologetic and thinking to myself, and even saying it to a few people, it didn't cost as much as it looks like it did. And so I think there's really kind of a wow and an awe factor because so many of the buildings, when you're expanding and the fastest growing community in the United States, and you're just building new, and all of a sudden you're popping into a space that's been here for 20 plus years, but it's been refitted and redesigned and repurposed. It just kind of gives you a chance to pause and think, it's a generational thing, right? So you put good bones down and you put good foundation down, and it's going to carry you a long way for a lot of generations.
It really brings in that having this in this building really worked together just because of the purpose that the visitor center was designed to do. So it kind of should have always been here in the first place after we all got it done.
I mean, I think just this history of the building was unique, being built in 2004. It took guts and it took a lot of creativity at that time to make that happen. I mean, there's definitely no oil boom happening, but it was a new facility on Main Street. It really brightened things up. It served its purpose super well for the first 20 years. Now we're looking to the next 20 years, and I think there's just a lot more great opportunities. We can't always do the same thing that we did last year and expect results. We have to always be continually innovating, and we've grown 300%, in the past 10 years, and so we can't just do the same things that we were doing 20 years ago.
The joint effort office, I'm kind of really excited about, just because we have all avenues under the same roof, and we have a beautiful conference room where they can all meet together and go through, kind of what their plans and ideas are. And when you get that many people in one room, ideas can kind of flourish.
We get to do the fun stuff. We get to focus on the future and tell the story of what our future can be, and encourage those who want to be a part of it to come along and join the ride.